So, list. I'll give you paper. Here's paper. Someone else can sit on his knees because my knees are now aching. So make just list all those things that come that you are seeing. These are things, changes in the world, things that we are now dealing with. Let's now it may be complete, it may not be complete. There's a lot more, but this is also your experience of the world.
For example, let me take a case like climate change. Like right now, if you ask everybody what is climate change, we have an idea, but we cannot really explain what is climate change. We cannot explain what is global warming. But once we understand, we the stakeholders, we understand about climate change, we have already been educated about climate change. That way, I can go and tell my family about climate change and how it affects them. If I am taught about pollution, I can always go and cascade the information downstream. So my point is civic education, lack of information,
lack of access
to information
is also a big challenge.
Is a big challenge. Because if we all knew these things, there would be no global conflicts, there would be no political instability, there would be no diseases, there would be no
effluent discharge
poor agricultural practices. So it's about empowering the citizen first of all, and that is civic education.
Once they understand the why, the how will become very easy.
Because I'm even thinking, now that we have listed these 4 top problems, how are we going to address them? Of course it's through dialogue. Of course it is through empowerment. It is information. So I think the last point that we should put here, that's my point, it is lack of access to information.
Before, the chiefs were being sent. Okay? Arrest the people. At the moment the chief left, they came and what we learned was that one, access to information. We go and we call them and inform them. Inform them. From there they did well. Even there is a village, I don't know where, they have even made forest. They only take care of it. Nobody can cut a tree there.
They own up the
They own up the
Where is that?
I can't remember, but there is a place.
Like you were saying, when we started this project, we had a lot of conflicts because Australian farmers over here, over there. There was even a landowner who was claiming the Australian is their land
extension.
This side is the other side of their land. So, with information that we had, the right to conserve the riparian is a right for everybody in Kenya. So even when he brought the police, he quoted the law to the police. And they told our mama, hii hautaongana nayo. Hao vijana wanajua kenye wanafanya.
Information is power.
Knowledge. Information is power. So, I think information, access to information, educating the masses on the right ways, the right practices of managing our environment and our river basins. I think it cuts across all these problems.
We are in agreement. Well, anyone has a contrary opinion on that? Or we can have the 5th one if need be.
It's been discussed. It might pop up later. It is not that these are the only important ones. They are all important and they are all related. And encroachment is related to urbanization maybe, and urbanization is related to climate change and poverty and lack of policy for city growth. No proper city development planning. That's all related, and also what you say, the lack of information, lack of knowledge. Lots of people don't know, but a lot of people also do know. So this is partly it's true, and partly it's not enough if everyone is sensitized, as Kenyan government likes to use the word. it won't make a difference directly. A lot more needs to be done. So they cannot be isolated from each other. Again, the whole organization of parts, and they all have they are all an important piece of the puzzle. So if we pick one, let's say pollution. What are we already doing about it?
Pollution, there is pollution is in several ways, isn't it? There is air pollution, water pollution,
Water pollution. This is the line between our thing.
Can I have another color, Simon? It will be so green otherwise. Oh. I got it. Clearly what's being done at the moment is not enough. Because I still see the sewage flowing by and it smells here a bit. And it's not just this river, it's again the whole hydrological network of Nairobi and the whole city. What? Maybe we have the question.
Dialogue sessions, the problems can be identified. Those people who cause the problems can be identified. The government agencies can share the existing laws or how it should go. I'm coming from the aspect that before the government starts enforcing, because that is what happens. I find these officers find someone who is directly effluent, is go to the river, they arrest him, he goes to court, probably he is fined, and the problem has not yet been solved. So I was thinking, first of all, we should have, during the awareness sessions, we have dialogue meetings between the community and the government, that is all the agencies, so that there's an agreement that now we are going to act on all people who are doing all those vices.
Already there, what we are doing, what we are already doing, if you look at number 3, we're talking about sensitization to the community. So to say seems that we've been doing it. So we need more or intensive sensitization.
The way we are now engaging, and the way that in the Tika River Basin we did it, and in India and in Amboseli with the Maasai communities. If you have a sensitization meeting, people come to be sensitized. They come and wait and listen to you, and they go home and they say, today I've been sensitized. But that's it. So a sensitization meeting may be something very different than a dialogue meeting the way we are doing it now. Because you are learning, planning and acting together. That's what you're doing, and that is what a dialogue session with problem holders is about. That's what all these sessions will be about. You are learning to organize yourself. It is a way of mobilizing community, but not to sensitize them or to just clean up the river, but to learn together from our environment to plan the way forward. We don't just bring them in and say, now you clean up, this is our plan. They are joining the plan, they are making the plan together. That is why the community is today in this dialogue. That's why the government is in the dialogue. You do it together, and then you act together. So before, of course, awareness creation, people need to learn. People that know nothing about pollution and think it doesn't matter, it's not in my garden. They are not the first ones to work with. They are ones that need to learn. But if you pull them on board and you talk about their sick child because it's playing at this same river, maybe someone lost a child or someone got a disease because of playing here, they start to see, hey, I'm also related to that river, and actually I'm part of the problem. That is so sensitization, as in, because I have seen it working with WRA. You have those meetings, and there's the blue book, and then the technical manager says these are the rules. We just should comply. The Water Act. It is horrible because no one is complying afterwards because there's many different challenges. So that is why that is the difference between dialogues and sensitization. And maybe you already do this. Think about it. We are learning.
Yeah.
It takes us back to policy implementation, because like now we have very good laws. We have the environmental impact, the new bill, Sustainable Waste Management Act, that calls upon every producer to take care of their product up to the end product. And there is very hefty fines for that. The extended producer responsibility. They were amended into law by our last president in December last year. But now implementation becomes a challenge. Like for example, infrastructure development is also a challenge. Sewer lines are being done, but once it reaches somewhere past the Faith College, some few residents went to court. Is it true? Now the sewage cannot go on.
They went to court because they haven't
You see now. So policy implementation.
Yeah, I get, there is that. And then what he and him are saying is a lack of facilities or infrastructure. Because there is infrastructure, like what he was asking. You have a company, you have effluent, where does it go? And there is no sewerage system. So that is infrastructure. And then the part of provision of like skip bins, like he's saying. There are no enough skip bins. Like in Gathara here, we only have one skip bin in a population of like 60,000 people. We have one skip bin.
Do you have private waste collectors?
Yes, we do, but as much as there is, it is not enough.
There is a policy that says polluter pay. It is your responsibility to.
So talking about that, policy is a difficult thing, and when we work with the Maasai communities in Amboseli at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, we did the same thing, and we looked at they planned their desired future, a white mountain, restoring the ice cap of Mount Kilimanjaro. That was the picture. And Tobiko, the environmental minister, then said, I'll endorse you. He was behind this. He said, because we need these grassroots actions to meet policy. And so grassroots actions should inform policy, and policy shouldn't just guide grassroots actions, because then it's not grassroots anymore. So there's this balance of doing things. If we talk about what should we be doing about pollution, that's us. That is you and me. Over what should others be doing about our pollution. Because then we say, the government needs to develop, and the government says, there is no support for the people. Who should be giving them support? The government, the people themselves. We can be very. We need to look in the mirror, basically, saying, what are we doing? What can we do? Because later we go into action. We need to do things, and maybe in our power is only organizing dialogue meetings. Maybe we can do a lot more. Like you can see here, you can do a lot more already. But it is so. It's all true what you say. It's all valid, and those policies are super important. But waiting for government and getting something done from government, I'm sorry to all the government people here, including myself, but it's usually not the fastest way of doing things. So it needs to happen alongside showing that government, hey, you need to jump on board, because the government wants to be inspired by the community and by the businesses. They want to see, wow, we are actually behind, our policy is behind what's actually happening on the ground at this moment. And then you start even working more together. And then the government can say, okay, we need to implement law enforcement, and President Ruto can say everything is now law enforcement or something else. I think this is a good start. We don't need to finish. World. What we have done now, you see in the exercises, in the questions we answered, we were learning from the world. This is what we were doing. Number one. Now we want to go more inside, because we are here together as fathers, as mothers, as people living along the river, farming along the river, educating children already. So we have already a lot of talent, skills, ideals. And if we map them, which is what we do now. Oh, the other one. Can you grab the other one? We make a small overview of what do we have already. I know when we walked the Matara River, one of the garbage collectors, the guy that actually what was his name, Melvin. He is a good friend of this famous Kenyan football player that plays in the top league. What is his name? Olunga. From that same region, you know, those are also talents you have. It's football, but I saw in Ngong River, along Matara, football is also used as a way of sensitizing, advocacy, and engaging children and their parents for environmental purposes. Let's map those. So what knowledge, skills, talents, values do we have? Let's split in two small groups. You just brainstorm and bring in what you have, bring to the table, and maybe you can stand around there to write standing, or you just sit around here and someone writes on the floor. So we just take 10-15 minutes for this, and then we can share with each other.
How many minutes?
15 minutes.
We list the knowledge, the knowledge, talents, values that we have, and we can maybe be able to use to rehabilitate the river. I think so.
Tree planting is key.
One, we have to.
Yeah, tree planting. I thought
It's
that.
a skill.
I think it
Is
is.
it a skill or what? Where does it
It's
come?
not a skill, but it's also a different. But knowing how and what trees to plant is also a skill, isn't it?
Yeah. ANT.
Unaweza specify Roysambu. Si umeita Roysambu?
Upstream.
Umeita inaitwaje hiyo bit hiyo?
Miss and Mr. Environment.
Mrs.
Roysambu.
Sambo.
Yeah.
Ile ya cat walking.
Resemble. We have also football. We have a field here. We use football as a sensitization tool, and also as a mobilization tool.
Kuna ingine?
In midstream, upstream hakuna. Do you have a football field up there?
Yeah.
We also do art and photography. Because we use bamboo to do some art. It's a photography. Like what he's doing now is also part of sensitizing. You can use art to sensitize.
We put the plastic aside, solid waste aside. There's also farming, so it is also like a skill. We do better farming rather than from doing like there are people who use pesticide or chemical farming that also pollute the river. Cycling also the skill where you use what you have. Communication, where you create awareness to the people about what you know about pollution. And there are the values. There was culture. There was also economic, social, and culture. Religious, and health, and nutrition. Yeah. And recreation. When you come to knowledge, there are 3 spaces which you know not every tree that you're supposed to plant along the river. There was also recycling. You reuse what you have. Waste management. You manage your waste to came up the knowledge. Education and environment. Environment education. Where you teach people about the environment. There's also pollution, like where you can see people who pollute the river through, they put their waste in the river, the abbreviation of the river. Talent, like weaving. See, you use some waste products, like to make mats. There was also music and dancing. I call the community, make some watu wakuja pamoja mfanya kama music, lakini una educate sports and culture, like football, athletics, boxing,
Poems and spoken words.
yeah, poems and spoken words about the pollution of the environment. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of knowledge.
Ours we've just mixed everything like Githeri, yeah? Githeri is a mixture of bean and maize. First point, we have identified, we created a recreational park here, and that falls under skills and knowledge. From the skill we had interacting with other people involved in this environmental conservation, we had an idea after planting trees that we can introduce a recreational facility over here because we have the space, and that falls under the skill that we gained along the way and knowledge. We also do have beauty pageant, Mr. and Mrs. Resambo, that is being held by upstream group known as Resambo
Green
Resambo
Foundation.
Green Foundation. That's also a skill and talent because they do have what do you call it? Mr. and Mrs. Resambo beauty pageant.
Miss and Mr. Environment Resambo.
Mr. Environment.
Yeah.
So that's also falls under skills and talent. We do also have football because you can see we have a football pitch here. We do conduct tournaments at times. We do have, other than tournaments, we also do exercise ourselves with the kids. So we do scouting of talents among the young kids. We do produce a lot of talents in this ground. We also have art and photography, which also falls under skills and talents. We do have people involved in social media skills. That also falls under skill, yeah? For those who practice the social media, yeah, advocacy and everything. We also learned about recycling of waste and making products out of the recycled materials into finished products. That also will fall under knowledge that we've been taught through the events that we attend normally several times. We have identified areas where to plant trees and environment, and we also have environment education. That aspect of identifying where to plant trees you can count it as a skill and knowledge to us, because we just can't plant a tree anywhere, and we can't plant any tree. So we have to identify a specific type of tree, identify a perfect area to plant, because we can't come today and decide we shall plant this tree or bamboo inside the river. So that is also a skill. Yeah. We do also have exhibition and hosting of International Environment Days, which sometimes we do host it here, sometimes we are invited to other places. That also is it's also called under knowledge, yeah? Knowledge sharing. Yeah, that's knowledge sharing. We also wrote about values and ideals that we have, yeah? One of them is waste segregation. You can see we have different types of bins, dust bins. We don't mix our waste, we separate it. So that's a knowledge we have acquired over time. Early induction of environmental issues to ECD, children who go to school. That is a value instilling to young children, so that when they grow up, they will still have that value of having a clean environment around them, not polluting each and everywhere. Dedication, we as a group, before we started planting these trees and before we started everything regarding the environment, we were dedicated first. That's a value we had before we started everything here. So the value that made us to be dedicated caused all this. This is a metamorphosis of the dedication that we had and the innovation we had from building the eco-toilet. The eco-toilet is built from plastic that we collect in the river. Yeah, that's a knowledge and that's a skill too. Inclusivity. Inclusivity here, as we can see here, we have different types of people, yeah? From all different walks of life. That's a value and ideal that we have in us that helps us to interact with each and everyone, regardless of where you're from, your status in society, and whatever.
Non-discrimination.
Yeah.
Don't discriminate.
We don't discriminate. Those are values that we instilled in ourselves along this journey of environmental conservation. That's my part, yes.
Thank you. So it gives us an idea of what we are doing and what we can do already. This is the Nairobi rivers. I like the weaving here. We in our writings we say we are weaving the Nairobi rivers community. That's a different way of weaving, but that's what's happening. That is building this community. Is the tea ready, or do we have some more time?
We still have some more time before she comes.
She is on the way.
Yes.
He is accountable for the tea. Yeah? Don't come to me. So we'll get tea later, but then let's continue a bit. And for the NEMA reps, we can show again where we are on this side. This is the framework that we work with. This is the Embassy of the Earth and World Waternet, two organizations. We are now exploring what we can do to support all the ambitions to address the issues of Nairobi rivers. It is not just here, all Nairobi rivers. And we think we are able to add some value in organizing it in a very collective way. Acknowledging everything that's happening on the ground, acknowledging that there's the Nairobi River Commission and the action plan. NEMA is, I saw in the newspaper there was a nice study done on the Athi River at least. Probably something like that can be done in Nairobi too.
The most polluted river.
What we are saying is we need unprecedented collaboration to really address the challenges. Otherwise, there's no way we might clean up the river and in a year everything will be back to the same. Yeah. And for unprecedented collaboration, that's what we're doing now through dialogue sessions. It is basically a kickstart. We'll have sessions along 5 major rivers in Nairobi in the next few months as part of action research. So this is actually the first one and a little bit of a pilot, but from next week we do more along all the rivers, and then in November we do a second one and we come back and we see, okay, what have we been able to do in the last few weeks? And it helps us to see, is there, and we also talk to the Nairobi River Commission and to WRA who requested us to do this, to you, to NEMA as an organization. So we get the feel of, is Nairobi ready to really collaborate in this way? And so what we do, who wants to try and explain what we've been doing? Anybody?
Explain for the second time.
I'll explain for a second time. So what we do, it's all about learning, planning and acting together. And this is called socio-ecological dynamics. It's from open systems theory. That is all science theory around community and organizational development with roots in biology and very ancient knowledge. But now it looks very simple. What we say is the open system, in this case the system is Nairobi Rivers or the Nairobi Rivers community. And that system, any system, it has an identity, it has a culture, it has talents, skills, ideals. So we just map some of those talents, skills and ideals just to get an idea and talk about it. So every city, every community, every system has this. But it's an open system because the Nairobi Rivers community is learning from what's happening in the world, on Earth, with the markets, the global movement. So climate change was mentioned as one of the things. We see that the world is changing and we have lots of forest fires, and global politics can be one. Markets, the war in Russia, Ukraine is affecting the food prices in Eastern Africa. Those are global movements, so we learn from that. We integrate it in the system because we have to deal with it, but also we act upon it. We see we need to do something. In this case, Nairobi Rivers, we want to act. We want to clean the rivers because it makes us sick. It doesn't look pretty. We need the water for other purposes. So we're gonna act, but by acting we change the world. It's very logical, but the thing is it's circular, so it continuously happens. That we call it active adaptation. We are learning to actively adapt to changes in the world. Whereas the way we are organized, also in my country, in the Netherlands, in anywhere, we often are structured in a way and then we don't easily adapt anymore because we have institutionalized and departmentalized everything. And that is the way it is, but we say people and organizations can come together and make this collective plan, make this collective picture for the future. But that's what we're doing. Now we should vision time, or is that too soon?
40.
Or is it too late?
No.
10-year plan.
2040.
2040? That sounds really far.
2033.
2030, 7 years. 2030, 7 years is good. Or 2028, 5 years from now.
Also good. That sounds quick, but yeah, it's not. Let's say 2030 for the sake of just brainstorming about it. So make your vision statements, or not vision statements, but headliners from the newspaper, The Nation. What are they writing about us? And they should be saying some things beautiful. So we are assuming that we did everything best way possible and it is looking the way we are envisioning it. We can dream about it. Yeah? Yeah, as if so you write it as if you've already done it. Not like they are going to do this. This has happened. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, mwalimu. Very good.
Okay, the task, the date, eh? What is the date?
Daily Nation, date done.
Yes, the task that was given to us was to come up with a headline for a newspaper that would be sold in 2030. That is 7 years from today. That is going to talk about the achievement that would have been got by the cleaning of rivers in Nairobi. And here we came up with a number of
The date first. The date. The date.
Oh, no, just a minute. I'm coming to that, sir. The first headline was "The city in the sun is finally declared Enkare Nairobi, the city of sweet waters." That is the headline of the newspaper that would be sold. That would be sold in September 20th, on September 20th, 2030. Then another one is
You have to publish quickly because the Star is trying to copy your headline.
No more writing. Wait. No more writing.
the second one.
Even the date.
It's a vernacular newspaper.
Now, can I go on now?
Yes.
Yes, they are still copying. Okay, the second one is Nairobi River is dead Nairobi River is alive again.
Wow.
The third one is jubilation. Jubilation. This should have had the exclamation mark.
Yes,
Isn't it? Jubilation as Nairobi river. Jubilation.
No more writing.
No, that is correcting.
Jubilation as Nairobi river waters are declared safe and
listen
fit
to our headlines.
for human consumption.
Repeat that kindly.
Jubilation as Nairobi river waters are declared safe and fit for human consumption. And then the fourth one is Nairobians at ease now as Nairobi river is declared fit for human use.
Very good.
Number 5, we have Nairobi, Kells and arrowroots declared safe for residents. Then number 6, we have no more medical bills as Nairobi River is declared safe.
Wow.
That was our team. Team kubwa.
That is the nation.
The nation.
The nation.
And we have the Gathara-ini media.
The Gathara-ini media. The Gathara-ini media. Oh, sorry. The Gathara-ini media.
After hiyo ni ya kesho ya.
Any of go free.
Hiyo
Hata ndio alikuwa
kwa jam.
Let's get
So
it.
this is group 2 presenting newspaper headlines which will be published in Daily Nation, The Star and The Standard on 30th November 2030. So the headlines will be repossession of riparian lands from encroachers and jailing them and fining them. The second headline will be 6 years of advocacy, conservation and community engagement. Nairobi can now breathe again. Nairobi can now breathe again. This will be from the clean river. Nairobi can now breathe again.
Mnasikiza hizo
Yes,
ni-
yes, yeah.
The next one, Nairobi means clean and clean water, reclaims its former glory after restoration of Nairobi River. Then the next one is black, filthy, polluted Nairobi River turn into crystal glory.
You want to live there, right?
Then the next one is breaking news, black water beetles bounces back into Nairobi River. For those who don't know the beetles, I'll explain in Kiswahili. Si maji safi inakuanga na hizi tududu tuna nini?
They're like submarines.
So those beetles will be able to bounce back into Nairobi River since it will be clean. Then the next,
Breaking news.
Yes, it will be a breaking news. Yes, the next point is ukakamavu wa vijana Nairobi hatimaye yang'arisha uso wa mto Nairobi. And in English, resilient youth efforts restores back the Nairobi River Basin back to its glory.
No question.
Thank you.